Hello everyone, it's Tom from coAdjoint here. This video is going to be me showing you Flow. I've completed the software. I haven't sent it to the asset store yet, but it's pretty much in a state where I can do that, although I might do a little bit more testing today. But it is done, which some of you will be pleased to hear. And this video I'm just going to be going through the software itself, showing you how it works, showing you what it's capable of, showing you its limitations, etc. I'll do another part as well about something that I'll discuss later on, which is a feature that I'm particularly pleased with. But before we get started, let's just give you a few announcements of things coming up. So this is perhaps a private document, but it doesn't really matter. A few videos that I've got coming up. I'm doing the pre-release video today. I'm also going to do a video about polymorphism and its importance in Unity, because the serialization system makes it kind of difficult to do polymorphism correctly, but there are ways around that, and I think it's really important to have a look at it, because the way I've designed Flow wouldn't be possible without polymorphism, polymorphic behavior at least. The next point is that I'm coming up to 500 subscribers. I think it's about 469 as of now, and I would like to do a competition at 500, just to really say thank you very much to my subscribers. If you aren't a subscriber, then I suggest you subscribe as well if you want to be part of that competition. I'm going to be giving away a few prizes. I'll save them. I'm sure you can figure out what they are, but I'll save exactly what they are until I get to that limit. So if you want to get there a bit faster, I'd really appreciate a little bit of a push to get to the 500 mark, and then I can give you away some free goodies, which is always a nice thing. It'll probably turn out that there will only be 2 or 3 people entering the competition anyway, so your chances of winning are fairly high, I imagine. So something that I've been wanting to do for a long time and actually started on, but found it quite difficult to do, was a video about editor extensions, because I've done quite a few editor extensions now and feel fairly confident with using the technology and its limitations and what it's capable of. So I really think that's overdue. The problem is that it's quite difficult to produce a video with so much in this sort of free flow style that I usually do videos. It has to be sort of prepared in a more tutorial manner, because there's just so many things that you can miss. So it will take me a little bit of time, but I will get around to doing it eventually, because I think it's underutilized, but I think it's one of the most powerful features of Unity. Other things we've got coming up, it's well overdue as well, but it's about time that I fully fling myself into doing something for Action. So if you're not aware, Action is a skill modeling solution for Unity, which allows you to model how humans actually learn skills. And I've done very little promotional material for Action so far, and I think it's about time that I actually did something. So that's basically what I've got coming up. Without further ado, let's actually show you what Flow can do. So Flow, if you don't know, is an automatic difficulty adjustment piece of software for Unity. It's going to be released for free, which is a decision I made a long time ago, and I'm going to stick with it. I have no reasons to change my mind. I'm more than happy to give it away for free. If you guys show me a bit of love, then it will make it worthwhile, if you see what I mean. So the way that the software works is really, really simple. As you can see, everything fits into this one screen here. Well, that's not strictly true. So there's events here, but it breaks down as well. So let's just break it down into the different bits. So there are 3 different parts of the software. There's initialization, there's variables, and then there's events. So initialization is where you're choosing variables that are going to adjust the difficulty of the game. So Flow adjusts the difficulty for you as you're playing, but you need to tell it what the information it's going to use to actually adjust the difficulty. So you might have 3 measures of the user's performance in the game that you want to use to adjust the difficulty of the game. So for example, that could be how stealthy he is, how fast he is, how good at combat he is. They could be your 3 variables. So you choose those in the initialization section. And you can choose 2, 3, or 4 variables. This is one of the limitations of the software, because the way it's designed means that I can't have unlimited variables. So it's kind of limited by that. Now, if you are not happy with that limitation, then what you should do is look at my piece of software, Orbit, because everything that Flow can do, Orbit can do better, because with Orbit, you can have as many skills determining the difficulty as you want. It's not just limited to 2, 3, or 4. So that is a limitation of having this sort of free piece of software. If you want to sort of sort of remove those restrictions, then Orbit is the piece of software that you want to look into. So anyway, this is the setup we have. You can choose a number of variables, as I said here, and then what you do is you've got these sort of drop-down menus where you select the game object that you want. So basically, in one of the scripts on one of your game objects, there is the variable that you're interested in. And so what this does here is it says, okay, what variable am I interested in? It's called test variable 1. Well, it's on the game object cube, and it's also on test script 1. So this just allows you to build those. It's very simple, really. And you can choose different ones. Now, if I change this to that, for example, test script 2 in this test scene doesn't have any variables. So it's going to give me a error message here, which will stop me from actually playing the game. Not playing the game, sorry, using Flow for that network. A little point that I've just been reminded of is that you can have as many Flow objects in your scene as possible, Flow being here. I'm also going to clean up the inspector here so it's not showing all this information here. But you can have as many Flow objects as you want in your level, having different sort of difficulty systems, but they all can only have 2, 3, or 4 variables driving them. However, the number of variables that you can actually change in your scene and events you can change is limitless. So I hope that explains that. Here we're just going to set them all to the same test variable. So we're using actually 3 variables, but they're all set to the same variable just for convenience here. And they're all set to 80. Now, these test variables do have to be limited between 0 and 100 for the software to work properly, but that's not too much of a restriction. I'm sure you can just normalize them. So anyway, so that's initialization. Now let's get on to the interesting part, which is the variables. Now, the way I've gone about using the software is that when the difficulty changes, you obviously want things to change in the game, because it could be adjusting constantly or automatically every sort of minute or so, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. But when the difficulty changes, you want other things in the game to change as well. So that's where variables and events come in. So variables are when you just have a simple type in your scene and you want to change the value of that type when the difficulty changes in the game. So let's say, for example, we've just changed to hard difficulty, and what we want to do is we want to change a vector 2, and this vector 2 is on test script 1, sorry, it's called test vector 2. So we've got this sort of little drop down sequence here where you select the game object, then you select the script on the game object, then you select the variable on the game object that you want to change. And then what you can do here is you can just set the value that you want it to change to in the scene. So you're playing your scene, blah, 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 difficulty gets set to hard, and then when it does so, you set the test vector to 840. And that's just simply how this editor works. There's loads of different types here, and I'll explain a little bit more about these types in a moment. But we've got the standard types that we have are booleans, integers, colors, doubles, floats, game objects, quaternions, vector 2s, and vector 3s. Now, one thing that I've done is you can actually extend this as much as you want. So if you've got a new type or a type that you hasn't been implemented in the actual in this version of Flow, because of the polymorphic behavior that I was talking about a little bit earlier on, if you just create your own type, so here's a Flow double, for example. If you create your own type and then you just inherit from Flow variable, and you implement some methods called getVariable and setVariable GUI, then the software will actually pick it up. It will pick it up automatically and you'll be able to use it in the software. It's not doing some switch statement to check over some sort of fixed list of types that can only be implemented. You can implement any type, any custom type you come up with, any standard type in Unity. You can implement it in Flow and you can change its value when the difficulty changes. So that's something that I'm really pleased that I managed to implement, because it's required sort of a bit of reflection and custom serialization. Thanks to Vex for the Vex framework for allowing us to serialize custom data types. I've actually used a sort of a headless version of that here. So that's pretty much the variables. That's here we've got we set a color and we've set a boolean. We're going to set it to false, and we've set a test integer to 60. So let's actually have a look at that working. So in the game, the test variable, which is the one which is setting the difficulty, is set to 80. So we've got 3 of those. So the difficulty is 80, 80, 80. So it's going to get set to hard. The difficulty is going to get set to hard as soon as you press play, because Flow checks the difficulty when it starts up. Now, test ball is true at the moment, and the test integer is 0, and the test color is black. But when the difficulty changes to hard, which is what's going to happen at first, the color is going to be set to red, the test ball is going to be set to false, and the integer is going to be set to 60. So I hope you're following. Let's just press play and see that in action. So there we go. Difficulty, the test ball has been set to false, integer has been set to 60, and the color has been set to red. And that's because the difficulty changed to hard straight away. So that's that. That's how you set up variables. It really is as easy as that, and then you can do automatic difficulty. To change the difficulty, you just call the getDifficulty method, and it will all do everything else behind the scenes. Really, really easy. So the last feature of Flow is events. So perhaps you want something a bit more complicated than just firing a variable. Perhaps you want to fire a coroutine. Perhaps you want some detailed custom logic. Perhaps you want to change the value of something which doesn't exist in the scene at the moment. Then you want to fire an event which will do all of the things that you actually want it to do. So this is what the events part of Flow's functionality allows us to do. We can set the difficulty here, so this is what we want to happen when we change the difficulty to hard, and then we've just simply got this test method here, which I will show you. Where is it? There we go. Sorry for that delay. So test method just says in here. So it's a really boring method, but it demonstrates what's going to go on. So again, when I press play, it's going to set the difficulty to hard because it's detected that it's hard, and then it's going to fire the test method. And I could put loads of nice custom logic in there. I could change these sort of cubes or the cylinder here. We can do anything we want within the confines of Unity. Let's go. And as you can see here, it's gone hard, and in here it's gone hard. Oh dear, that's terrible. We're on hard difficulty, and it's fired the event. So yeah, that is everything that I'd like you to see about Flow. It really is as simple as that, but it is really, really powerful. Again, it's going to be for free. I've done the artwork work. It's terrible program artwork, but I really do try my best. If someone wants to help me out with that, then please come forward, because it will be a real help to me. But that's everything I'd like you to see about Flow. You can have these custom data types, which I think is a nice, neat feature if you want to do whatever you want with it. You can extend it yourself. It's all going to be open source, so if you want to like change any of the code or extend it in some way, you thought some functionality, then please do and tell me about it. I'd be really interested to know. But that's everything for now. Thanks very much, guys, and look forward to seeing you all soon.